Welcome, guys, to Metallium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about the Blackbriar, this new upcoming album, The Thousands Little Deaths, and more things related to the metal world in general. So we started by asking, how are you doing today? How is the band over the last couple of years? Because the previous album, A Dark Euphony, was released in 2023.
Yes, that is correct. Well, I'm doing very well. How are you doing, Zora?
Yeah, same. Next week, the album will be out, so it's always a bit nerve-wracking for me personally, but also very excited. So,
Yes,
Amazing, amazing. So, and let's talk about more about the composition from this new album. So, when did you decide to start writing songs for this new album? It was during the transition, perhaps for the previous album or new song, or perhaps do you rescue any composition that the left were out for the previous two? Who knows?
uh, I think I just always keep on writing most of the time. So I remember writing the first song for this album while I was in the tour bus for the previous album tour. So it was 2 years ago. And I was in my lying in my sleeping bunk writing the first lines of A Last Sigh of Bliss. So I guess that's where it started for me.
yeah. I think 2 years ago we started working on the songs, like Zora said, starting with "Last Sigh of Bliss," and once you get started, it's quite easy to continue writing an album. So yeah, we started and never stopped until well, actually, we're still writing songs as we speak. So yeah, it's an ongoing process for us.
Yeah, we don't really plan things for an album, like what are we going to do with this album? We just let it come, whatever comes, the inspiration, and write the songs one by one. So that's usually how we do it.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Okay, okay. So now, don't taking a look for the with the previous album, with the first album to this third album. I saw that your previous one, The Cause of Shipwreck, was released independently. Then, since the second one, since 2 years, 2 years ago, The Dark Euphonia was released with Nuclear Blast. Now, this new one are releasing also by Nuclear Blast. So how it is to work with one of the biggest label in the world? Nuclear Blast, like Century Media, like Season of Mist, Bednall Blaze, are the giants of the titans of the labels in the metal world.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. I mean, as you mentioned, we always have been a do-it-yourself band. So we release the music ourselves, and we still sort of are a do-it-yourself band. So we take on as much of the work that we possibly can, like filming our own music videos, writing the songs, doing the web store, everything. We do everything ourselves. And when Nuclear Blast came on our path, we wanted to make sure that we could remain in that mindset of a do-it-yourself band. And they were fully open to, supporting us in that journey, and they really wanted to basically complement everything where we were either lacking or where we could grow. And that's the role that they took on. I mean, they are a massive label, and it's been a huge pleasure working with such a good and professional team. And they've really helped us move forward. Ever since the Dark Euphony, it's been very well, and yeah, proud to be part of their family for sure.
Okay, okay. Well, the music in general, when I read a lot of reviews, a lot of the previous albums, and the people try to label the band. You try to play like something symphonic, metal, alternative, but a lot of textures. But mostly the people when see Zora live, see you play symphonic metal because likes like a topic like Within Temptation, like Nightwish, like Epica, and these kind of bands. So now, what do you think so about this label out immediately when the people see a woman as a front man, so yes, a front woman about this, a front female about this one, and automatically the press related with the symphonic metal stuff.
Yeah, that's yeah, like you said, it's usually what happens, but I guess we don't really care about where we fit in, or we just make what we make, and yeah, the people decide whether what it is, I guess. So we've heard a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when we started this band, honestly, we wrote a few songs that current days you would say, okay, that's symphonic metal, but back then we didn't even know. So we never intentionally went on this path or intentionally were writing symphonic metal songs or anything like that. It was actually people from the outside telling us what we were doing. And we haven't changed that. So we are still just writing and creating our own bubble and world. And whatever label you put on there, we're okay with that. I mean, the label Nuclear Blast, they actually labeled us as atmospheric metal on their, I think it's their store or something, which also fits us. That's what we do. We are creating all these atmospheres and vibes, our music videos, but also the music.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's just what we stand for, and we
Yeah.
want to make sure that when people find us or hear about us, that they either know it's us and that they always can return to us knowing that a next album will also be part of that world.
I
Hmm.
personally like the atmospheric metal a lot, so
Yeah, me too.
the label, yeah.
Well, okay. Okay, I remember when I spoke with Diana from the Lane, and she told me about this. It's wrong to say that we are playing gothic metal just for the woman inside of the band, and I'm agree with that conception because that's for me gothic metal is more related from bands like Type of Negative, Moonspell,
Mm.
other kind of bands, completely different stuff. But one thing that I remember that she provided me information, it was the usually they not play like symphonic metal, they play like cinematographic metal because there is a
Hmm.
lot of textures, a lot of the scenes. When you hear the music or this kind of music related with the symphonic, you hear a lot of textures like acts. You hear the first act, the second act, then open the theater, something like this. She tried to
Hmm.
relate this one. So, do you think in this kind of case that this new album from Blackbriar has this aspect to like texture experts and like some concept album like symphonic metal it is?
I guess for us it's also if you're talking about the gothic
Mhm.
uh, direction,
Aspect.
we
Yeah.
do have a lot of gothic themes to our songs, so that I think that would be why people would say it's gothic because of maybe the stories and the lyrics and the dark atmospheres. And now I forgot the actual question.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think it might be a little bit short-sighted for overall to think that a symphonic metal band usually only features a female front singer. There's a lot of symphonic metal bands that actually have male singers, and they're amazing. And for us, I mean, the label symphonic metal, coming from Europe and the bands that we grew up with, or we basically grew with. I mean, yeah, many of them had female vocalists, but that's just, there's something in the water here in the Netherlands where we have
Mhm.
so much talent and female singers that are finding their way in this industry and this music genre, which is just amazing. And for our music, I mean, Zora is our muse and our singer, so I cannot imagine anybody else doing it. But symphonic metal, for me, what makes it symphonic metal is all the orchestration and the atmospheres that we put down. So
Mm.
it will always have an element of symphonic metal in our music.
And about the whether if it's a concept album, it isn't. These are all separate songs, so in that case, it's not like what you just
Mm.
asked.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So other topic that that you mentioned, René, and also Sora, is that is right. Netherlands always been related with the topic of female frontier. I don't know why, because the most important bands there, like Epica or the first band like is with Temptation into this symphonic metal, is coming from they are coming from Netherlands. A curious things, and mostly all the bigger bands into the symphonic metal are from Netherlands. So the curious thing, because the other bigger band is Nightwish and is from Finland, but just the only one. The other ones come from your country. So why? So why Netherlands always be like a niche, like for this symphonic metal stuff? So perhaps the female, perhaps I don't know, this society is more related with this. Who knows? Because more all important bands are from
Well, actually, the singer from Nightwish is also from the Netherlands. So,
Yeah.
but why? Why? I have absolutely no clue. Do you know,
No,
René?
no, me neither. I mean, we do have a very tight, music industry. We're a small country, so once you get to know these professional musicians and producers, it's a small group of people. So most of them are, basically already working together. And when people who can actually sing or have a beautiful voice come up, and whether it's a metal enthusiast or no, usually. People start to mix. If you're a very good bass player and you play in a jazz band, some of them actually end up in the metal industry just because it's such a small group of people basically helping out each other and creating new bands and new everything. Um, where it comes from, I have no idea. All we know is some of the bigger bands obviously are from the Netherlands, or the most of the band members are Dutch. But yeah, where I don't know, I don't know. It's all a coincidence, I'd
A
say, because
mystery.
there's also extremely good bands from America or Germany. I would say it's more Europe and Scandinavia. There's so many good bands. So I don't know. It's everybody's just doing their thing, right? So that's good.
Okay, okay. So now a little far away from this concept, and now returning back to the Blackbriar, especially from the discography in this one. One thing that I denoted, it is that your cover arts, because all your cover arts are like a comic, like the comic books, like the 80s, so
Mm.
like a black and white. Just the first cover album just has a red, like the hair from Zora. That's the only thing. But then the rest of the albums are black and white and black. So when you see as a fan, when I hear the metal, when you see this one in the first time, possibly that the band likes. But when you see these three albums, and when the band has more than 10 years, so it means that this is something related with something special for you. Perhaps the cover arts for you has something special, or the books, or the mangas, or comics. Who knows? Why do you decide to use only time white and black in your cover arts?
Yeah, I guess it just became part of our Blackbriar world, that if people see our artwork, then they know right away that it belongs to Blackbriar. And we met our art designer from the very start when we needed a band logo. So, and he's been with us since then. So, yeah, he's called Alip. He's from Indonesia.
Yeah, the red. To be fair, this is not necessarily the first time we did that, because our debut album also featured red, and Sora also had red
Mm.
hair on the Cause of Shipwreck. And then for the album, the previous album, A Dark Euphony, that was completely black and white again. And also for previous releases in terms of EPs, we also sometimes added a red
Mhm.
detail in there. What does it mean to
One
us?
time we
Oh, sorry.
added blue.
Yeah, yeah, we did add blue for
Cicada.
Cicada. Yeah. I mean, for us, it's Sora's hair is red. So yeah, it's a very straightforward thing, to be honest. There's no other terminology behind it. It's
It's
just we
just, yeah,
like it.
yeah, we loved his art from the very start, and it became this whole part of our world, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Now, well, talking about more about the promotion from this A Thousand Little Deaths. So, what kind of promotion do you have? I saw that you will embark some tours there. Obviously, festivals. It will be the last festival from this year because the summertime will be ending soon there. And then, well, for the next year, you will prepare more tours there. Perhaps you'll embark some tours, or perhaps you're already working on new albums. You said it. You'll continue working in new songs.
Yeah, we're going on our first headline tour in starting in October, so that's very exciting. Um, with tomorrow we have a festival in France, but and we have something very cool planned for the release day still. So that's yeah, and always still writing. It's an ongoing process, I guess.
Yeah. I think we hopefully will be back in the States as well next year. That will be yeah, hopefully something we could announce soon. Um, I mean, yeah, promoting this album, we've been full on, full at it for almost 2 years, and this is, even though the release is coming close, we would still be, have our minds fully set on this album for months and months to come. So, I'm pretty sure we'll do some cool stuff later along the line as well. That would, be part of this album. But yeah, mainly focusing on the tour, and that's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, and then trying to get the tour in other parts of the world as well.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So now let's talking about one thing is one thing I relate. So I remember when I all the time ask some of these kind of questions. If you try to relate on a movie, especially that you like, so how you relate a specific moment with each album that you have. So which movie for you represent the all kind of sounds and textures that you have in each album for you?
Ooh.
Each each album a movie.
Yeah, that's a hard question. It's a fun question, but it's also a hard one. I've never thought about it
I
that
guess
way. So,
for Mortal Remains, it would be Wuthering Heights, I guess, because that one was very inspired by a certain scene.
hmm
But yeah, now it's your turn.
yeah, I honestly, I don't really think you could put one movie necessarily to an album, a Blackbriar album, because we tell so many different stories, and
Mm,
they are all stories, separately. So it's hard to put, it's so hard. Jesus,
maybe a
honestly,
vibe.
yeah, yeah, maybe a vibe, but even then, I've never thought about it that way. So I'm afraid I'm gonna have to get back to you with an answer on that one, because do you have listened to the album? So do you have an idea? What movie would you link, for example, to the Thousand Little Deaths?
Well, for yeah, well, that's very difficult. Yes, as you are the creator, that's very
Yeah.
difficult to relate because there is a lot of textures. When it's a
Exactly.
difficult to say. Well,
What
that's
like
a
what Sora said. I mean, for Our Mortal Remains, which was an EP, but that had a very clear theme or something going on, so
I,
we it would be slightly easier. But
I guess not a movie, but I do associate this new album with the poetry from Emily Dickinson. So maybe that's yeah, but
okay.
it's not a
Mm.
movie.
Okay, okay. Now, and when this gossip, especially for this new album, especially A Thousand Little Deaths. So one thing that also, as your music has a lot of texture yes, a lot of textures or layers about this one. So I will ask you about one question that supposedly just have a few people in the world. We are talking about the synesthesia. Perhaps do you know about this one? When the people hear the music, smell somethings or just taste something in their mouth. So if we
hmm.
relate these topics, so how do you describe the smells and tastes that this album has in general, for especially for this synesthesia topic?
Hmm. For the smell of honeysuckle, of course, the flower that blooms late at night in the summer, and maybe old books, like the smell of old books, and a candle that has just um, blown out.
And I wanna add maybe old wooden floors to it.
Mm, yeah.
You
This, yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah, it's a great question, by the way. I appreciate that. I think Sora's spot on with all her scents for this album, but that's a good one. Maybe I don't know what. No, that's gonna be weird, but I wanted to say I don't know what a cemetery smells like at night, but maybe something like that.
Dirt and
Yeah,
roses. I wrote
exactly.
about it
Dirt and
once. Yeah.
roses.
Okay, okay. Now, let's talking about another kind of things about, especially just now in the music industry. As you can see, there is now one thing that the extreme music brings to us is a lot of technicality in the world. You can see there are a lot of musicians, a lot of singers playing so good in the internet. You can just click on YouTube and you see thousands. So that's just not just one or two or three, like the 80s or 90s. Now we have an infinite list about this one. So now, but curious thing, just the extreme music, it was like the blame to just to push the boundaries into the metal extreme. Because when you hear Iron Maiden, you hear thrash metal is not technical, but when the death metal appears in the world, the death metal change and push the boundaries to have more recording studios, to have better musicians, because a lot of people dedicated to the instrument since the death metal appears, especially in the extreme music. So now, with this technicality or with this cleanness into the music, especially in the metal, sometimes some people say that the rawness of the initial sound of the metal lost during the transition because there is more better instruments, better musicians, better studios, etc. So now for you, what kind of opinion do you have about now that the metal is not raw like the used or like this more people say to the metal need to be dirty, raw on this kind of thing. Now all records has we have 1,000 records, great musicians, everything. But now there's
Mm.
a lot of cleanness into the metal music in general.
Well, I first and foremost, I don't think I uh, uh, necessarily think metal needs to
Mm,
be raw and
mm,
dirty and whatever. I think it was just dirty and raw.
mm,
I think you mentioned everything perfectly. These days, everything got better. So all the
mm,
recording equipment got better, the people got better. Um, the focus that you can have on working on a track, on vocals or whatever, the polishment, all the processing, everything is better these days. So yeah, naturally, what people hear on the radio
mhm,
is obviously polished and sounding very well and very good, and everything is perfect. And that's a sound people got used to. So when you turn on the radio in your car, you basically sort of got used to everything sounding basically perfect. Now, do I like that? Um, yeah, yes and no. I mean, yes, I like the fact that the overall quality has upped massively in these current days. But I also really enjoy and love the raw sounding old recordings of 70s and 80s bands. That it has a vibe to it. Um, right now, you cannot get away with that anymore. If your song sounds like a 70s metal or a 80s metal song, whatever, and you would be in a Spotify playlist, people will probably, or most likely, tend to skip that just because it sounds too old or too dirty or whatever. So, I mean, that's just the way it is, I suppose. It doesn't mean anything about it being good or not.
mhm,
And that's, what people are all sort of trying to find is a sound that sounds very well. And
mhm,
for us, I mean, yeah, I hate the process of being in the studio and trying to zoom in on everything and making every beat and every kick drum perfect. But yeah, to a certain degree, it's just something that we either have to do or choose to do. Um, uh,
And luckily you have still have live shows where it's more raw, I guess.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, we're still playing every instrument and singing every note, and so we are trying to stay as close to the original thing as we possibly can. But yeah, obviously, we don't want to sound out of order in all the other metal that's being released. So yeah, there is a sort of standard that's being how do you say this? That's being asked of you. So that's yeah. It's it's just what we have to do, I suppose.
mhm,
And if you don't like that, just go to a live show, and then we'll try our best to manage getting as close as we possibly can. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I just love playing live anyway, so I rather have that. I think I also rather listen to live music, to be honest, even on Spotify. I enjoy that vibe more.
mm. Okay, I understand. So now, Rene, well, as you are the drummer from Blackbriar and about this one, I one question because I spoke with Bini Apis. I remember a long time ago, 1 or 2 years ago, I spoke with him, and he told me that he is the metronome of the band.
Hmm.
He is not using metronome to record to play live. He not played with in ears, not played not just played as he knows since the
Hmm.
80s. Now there's a new tendencies in the world, especially into the metal, because I spoke with a lot of bands about this. They're recording the music in in rehearsals, just one take, or without metronome, because they try to as I said, try to be rawness like the first time. But either way, it's continued the digital process to recording. That's normal. But now there's like a new tendency. The bands are trying to record without metronomes. The bands are trying just to record in one rehearsal because try to be just a different mostly. So what's your opinion about this one? About the new a little drummers or some new drummers are trying to play with a metronome.
Honestly, I don't care how people record their music, and if they feel like that fits their music or their style or songs better, then you should definitely. I know that there's, like you said, many bands around us that are trying to look for their raw sound again, and they record the drums and the bass in one take or whatever. That's not for us, and I like that process a lot more. So
Mm.
I wish I could do it that way, but our music just does not lend itself for that type of recording, I would say. Mainly because we have so many layers. We have so many, all the orchestration, everything that we want to add on and needs to fit perfectly into the song and all the backing vocals and everything. I mean, live we also play with a click track slash metronome because we have all the orchestrations and stuff not with us, so it's on tracks. So I'm already used to playing with a click track anyway, and I sort of enjoy it, mainly because for me it's like also a sort of guide through the song and just something that helps me obviously stay in time and stuff like that and make sure that Sora doesn't get out of breath. I mean, it was never my strong suit playing exactly in time anyway. So for me, it's also a helpful tool. And yeah, I would never change that, honestly. Even if we could, I don't think I'll play these songs without it. No, yeah, I sort of enjoy it.
Mm. Okay.
We're
Okay.
just talking about a click track, right? So
Right. Right.
I
Right.
would, if I could, I would play it without the backing tracks and just have the band, but I would still have the metronome, I think, because it's just something that feels comfortable for me.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Now, and but this question goes to Sora. So a curious detail is that now, as I said, there are the technicians, the technical music in the world is now for a lot of musicians, but the voice is all the time the instrument that during the time is continue lowered. So you if you're trying to practice, and as you can see, a lot of people are trying to use in backing vocals because yes, I know, we understand that the voice is tired for many presentations, 15 in a row, 20 in a row. All the time, the voice is a beautiful instrument, but at the same time, is the instrument that need to have more care attention during the years. Because when you play guitar, you play each day and you get better with guitar. But with the voice, if you practice all the time, the voice decrease or lower in sometimes because the voice tired. That's completely normal in all aspects. So and for this, so what's your opinion about now about this? How do you train your voice, Sora, for example, for 15 dates in a row, 20 dates in a row? And I remember that I hear one like recommendation from French singers that told me that they don't drink beer, they don't drink cold water, this kind of myths. So how do you maintain your voice during the road and in the future? For example, when your voice will be tired, we'll use backing vocals. Who knows?
I used to get really obsessed with these thoughts about worrying about losing my voice for a show, so I really try to get rid of this obsession. So I just for me it's just singing every day, like on in a fun way, so not in an obsessive way, but just keeping my voice up to date. Don't drink alcohol, of course, yeah, on a tour. Drink a lot of water. I used this bubble thingy. It's called a bubble, yeah,
Bubbler, yeah, whatever.
bubbler. Yeah,
Mhm.
you basically have a tube that you hum in the tube is in water, so it's very strange, but it does help relax the voice a lot. So yeah, and otherwise I just hope for the best and not get sick on tour because that's just horrible.
Yeah. A lot of sleep,
A lot of sleep, yeah.
no talking after the show, stuff like that. You know,
Ah, yeah, that's very important, yeah.
it's the voice is a very delicate thing, and
Because
yeah.
usually that's what what it is. Singing a show doesn't do damage, but talking to the fans afterwards, which I love to do sometimes, is what mostly damages my voice. So it's not the singing, but yeah, talking over loud music and with a lot of people. Yeah, that's sad because I love to meet the fans afterward, but sometimes it's just on a tour a bit difficult.
Okay, okay. And we are close to this interview, guys. And one of the last questions for this interview, it is well, with this, with new technology, new movements, and the new movements for the producers is that the producers are now for live presentation, especially or gigs, are using just plugins or using just connection direct with the board or the console, and just with one people handle all things related, especially for the smaller bands. The smaller bands in full gigs are not using just direct without amps or with effects, just direct to the console or just on a laptop there to using everything to play concentration. Now just the bigger bands has using just the amps, or the festivals are using amps to be like the show complete for the festival. But now with this new movement, there's a lot of producers that try to obviously to try to reduce the expensive for a show, for especially for okay, and gain more things related with the show. So what's your opinion about the situation, about this new movement that is mostly all the smaller bands are just playing just without amps, and obviously during in the future, mostly all festivals will do that to obviously to expand more, to expensive situation.
Honestly, I think that anybody who thinks that, not playing on full guitar stacks and, having all these amplifiers with us and stuff, that's not necessarily just for sound for us, I mean, I cannot imagine going back to that because it's also on stage, it's quiet. So the only thing you'll hear is the drums, which means that there's nothing going on around Sora's microphone. And
Mhm.
she is a female singer, but Sora also has a very, very delicate and soft voice. So we had to do something about the extreme noise on stage. So that's where the general idea for us started, to get rid of the guitar amps because we used to play with those. In fact, I have stuff around my drum kit that helps make sure that the sound doesn't travel to Sora's mic that fast. We don't have any guitar amps anymore. There's 10 reasons why we do it that way. First of all, we could switch sounds very easily, like you said, with the laptop, which is amazing. It's amazing technology that you can do that instead of having to run to your board, change it yourself, which is no problem, but it's just so much more fun and easier to just continue playing while the sound of your guitar changes to, for example, a clean sound or whatever. So
Mhm.
all of that technology we try to fully embrace to a certain degree. It's just the guitars, bass, and the two guitars, the keys, the backing tracks of all the orchestration that are connected. To each other and have automatic patching and stuff like that. For the rest, everything is pretty raw and live and just the way it's supposed to be. The drums, there's nothing digital about the drums or the vocals, so
Mhm.
it's just a microphone. I fully embrace it. That's my opinion, and I think everybody should do it because I will sit on a chair like this at a festival and look at the bands carrying their guitar amps, and I would honestly have a slight smile on my face because I'm like, Jesus, the amount of work you guys are putting in just to play the show with all of that stuff and equipment. I like a clean stage.
Mm. Okay.
That's my opinion.
Okay, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. Well, guys, we arrived to the sad moment of this interview. Thank you very much for the time to do this interview. It is a tremendous pleasure to speak with you. This new album's a great one. Congratulations on this new one. And perhaps do
Thank
you
you
want to
so
add
much.
Thank you,
something
man.
to your Latin American fans that expect someday a full tour here in Latin America in the next years, or perhaps this year, who knows? And obviously, Metallium followers.
Well, I thank you for taking the time to talk to us actually about the album. We really appreciate it, and we would love for the people to hopefully love our album just as much as we do. And Sora probably has something to add as well.
Yeah, and that we always love to read everybody's thoughts about these new songs because we read everything on YouTube and everywhere, so we love to know what everybody thinks. And we are working very hard to get our tour to the rest of the world as well, outside of Europe.
And we'll be close to you guys hopefully soon. So we're working on it. It's very high on the list, and we feel it as well. We need to go there.